My name is Emily Carter. I'm 34 years old, and I'm a hospice nurse in Pittsburgh. On January 16, 2025, at exactly 9:51 p.m., my grandmother, Margaret Carter, died after emergency surgery while I sat alone in the waiting room. I called my parents 3 times. Neither came. 18 minutes after my first call, my father, David Carter, texted me, "You're already there. We'll come if she actually dies." She did. A week later, at her funeral, the pastor opened a sealed note she had left behind. The first line said, "If David is here, do not let him speak for me." What my parents didn't know was that my grandmother had been preparing for that moment for a long time. And they definitely didn't know I document everything, every timestamp, every missed call, every visitor log, every lie. The call came at 4:32 p.m. I was finishing my shift at Three Rivers Hospice when the hospital told me, perforated bowel, sepsis, high risk. She might not survive. I said I was coming and hung up. I called my father, voicemail. My mother, Linda Carter, voicemail. I texted the family group chat, "Grandma in emergency surgery. Critical. Need you here now." Both read it. No reply. At 5:02 p.m., my phone buzzed. My father's text, "You're already there. We'll come if she actually dies." I drove to the hospital, checked in, and sat in the ICU waiting room alone. When nurses asked if family was coming, I lied. "They're on their way." Hours passed. I sent updates every 30 minutes. Every message was read. Not one answered. At 9:47 p.m., the surgeon walked out. I knew the look before she spoke. "I'm so sorry. She didn't make it." Cardiac arrest at 9:51 p.m. No suffering. I thanked her, though I don't know why. I saw my grandmother one last time. Her hands were still warm. I whispered, "I'll protect you. I'll make sure people know who you really were." Then I called my father. "She died in surgery." Pause. "Okay, we'll handle arrangements tomorrow." "That's it? What do you want me to say?" "I want you to say you're sorry you didn't come." "You're fine. You work with dying people." He hung up. My mother said, "I suppose that's for the best," and didn't come either. The next morning, my father told me to handle the funeral. I met with Robert Hayes, the funeral director. He told me my grandmother had already planned everything: casket, hymns, instructions, and left 2 sealed envelopes. One with the pastor, one with her lawyer, Michael Grant, ASA. I couldn't sleep. I started documenting everything. 11 unanswered calls, 8 ignored texts, 1 reply, "We'll come if she actually dies." I requested the hospital visitor log. It showed 1 name, mine. At my grandmother's house, I found an envelope addressed to me. Inside was a letter, documents, and a USB drive. She wrote that she didn't expect my father to come. She had made it legal for the hospital to contact only me. She said I was the one who stayed. Then, the truth. In 2017, after her stroke, my father visited once, 15 minutes, and spent most of it asking about selling her house. She had proof: visitor logs, bank statements, voicemails. He had borrowed thousands and never paid it back. I listened to the recordings. Every call was about money. Not once did he ask how she was. I built an evidence log: ignored calls, unpaid loans, lack of visits. I decided I wouldn't let her story be buried. At the funeral, the pastor revealed a sealed letter meant only for me if my father was present. I read it in private. She wrote that my father never showed up when it mattered, that he only wanted what she owned. She left everything to me. Later, at the gathering, I read her letter aloud. My father tried to stop me. I didn't let him. When I finished, I asked him, "Where were you when she was dying?" He had no answer. 3 days later, her lawyer gave me another envelope. Inside was a flash drive, a video. My grandmother sitting in her living room, calmly recording the truth. She spoke about my father's neglect, the money, the lies. Then I noticed something behind her, a hidden camera. I went back to the house and found it. It had recorded months of footage. One video changed everything. December 19th, 2024. My parents in her living room, talking about waiting for her to die so they could sell the house, planning it, laughing about it, saying they'd just show up to the funeral and pretend to care. I took the footage to her lawyer. Her will had been updated days before her surgery. Everything was left to me. My father was disinherited for abandonment and financial exploitation. It was airtight. Still, he tried to fight it. He even attempted to forge a will. A notary exposed him. In court, every piece of evidence was presented: visitor logs, bank records, voicemails, the video, the hidden footage. The judge dismissed the case completely. I never heard from my father again. Months later, my mother called. She admitted she knew. She apologized. I told her I'd think about seeing her. I wasn't ready. I moved into my grandmother's house. I planted her favorite yellow roses. I built a memory wall with her photos and her final directive, only me authorized to be there at the end. I used her estate to start a non-profit, the Das Margaret Carter Dignity Fund, asked, to help elderly people protect themselves from neglect and exploitation. Legal help, documentation, emergency support. In 6 months, we helped dozens of people reclaim their dignity. I still work as a hospice nurse, but now, when I see the signs, absent family, sudden interest in money, I tell them the truth. They have options. They don't have to die waiting for someone to care. Now I sit at her kitchen table, drinking from her favorite chipped mug, watching the roses bloom. I think about that night, sitting alone, covering for people who didn't deserve it. And I think about her, writing letters, recording evidence, making sure the truth would survive her. She knew he wouldn't show up. She knew I would. She made sure it mattered. The visitor log still sits on my desk. One name. Mine. Mine. Because in the end, the only thing that matters is who stayed.